now, do we have a DCP investigation report? Somebody presenting that?
Hi, Bruce. I was on the phone with Larry trying to get him on the meeting, so I didn't hear who, I didn't hear the minutes. So if you guys could just repeat who approved them real quick so I could get that down.
Hi, Larry. You?
Yeah,
All right, why don't
morning, Ian.
we were just we called the meeting to order, and we were talking about the previous review of previous notes or minutes of the last meeting. Everybody agreed that we accepted it. Larry, you're on. You want to accept it, and you could be unanimous.
Sure.
Okay, so
Sure,
we're
I
all in
see.
agreement. We
Could
accepted the
you,
minutes of the last.
Just-
I just
Just
need
to
the
clarify-
names of who, I just need the names of who made the motion and who
I made
seconded.
the motion and Steve seconded the motion.
Okay, thank you so much, guys.
Guys, this is Derek Phelps. Don't know if I'm, am I abstaining as a voting member, but I think it'd be appropriate for me to abstain. Because this is my first meeting,
Hey, Derek,
Okay.
welcome.
having
How are
not,
you?
yeah, pleasure. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Having not participated in the previous meeting, I shouldn't be, voting on the minutes for this meeting.
And Derek, what position are you? You said you're taking?
I'm the newly installed public person.
Okay,
Awesome.
very good.
All right.
Okay, so do we have a report today from DCP?
We doing comments or concerns at all or no?
Comments and concerns. I thought that was our president of the previous, or comments of concern of any person present?
Nope.
No. Okay. We're going on to the DCP investigation report. Is there someone to present it and explain it, or do we have someone? Rachel?
Hi, I don't see anybody on. I think John and Janita are at a conference today, so I can share the report so you guys can take a look at it, but I unfortunately don't have any more details than what you guys are seeing as well, so.
Was this issued, Rachel, to everyone?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was in the link with all the documents.
Okay,
So this is the May 1st to June 30th report. There are 6 closed and no new complaints from that time period. And then for July 1st to August 31st, there were 2 closed and no new reports. And yeah, unfortunately, that's all the information I have as well, so.
okay, so why don't we table this until they're present at the next meeting? If they have anything and they want to tell about the reports. Okay, let's see, all right, then we go on to old business, which is supervisor and intern training. Any comments from anybody?
Is that the agenda that we're currently looking at? I have continuing ed extension request as old business.
Right.
As old, yes, the old business, you have what?
Continuing education extension request follow-up with John Legero.
Okay, all right, let's discuss that.
Well, do we know if he finished his education?
Yeah, that
So the
was,
certificates were added in the link, so I think it was just a follow-up that he did complete it by the time that you guys extended you gave him an
Awesome.
extension, so he completed it before the extension.
So we're good.
we are good. Yeah, I received that, that email with, all the documents. There were 20 credits that he had obtained, including the law course. I think you guys probably all have that somewhere, but it looked all okay to me. I mean, he had completed those during the month of August. So I think,
Good.
Great.
his license, he can probably get his license now, have it renewed. I think that was done. Okay.
Okay, you want to make a motion to approve it?
Sure. Yeah, I move that we approve, John Legaro's, extension, that we granted to him at our last meeting.
Okay,
I'll
second.
That he
Yeah,
completed,
second.
that he completed
That he
the,
completed, not approved,
extent.
yeah.
right, he completed it, right.
I'll second
Okay.
it.
All right, any discussion?
I think it's done.
Okay, so all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
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 Unanimous? Okay, we're on to new business. Anybody have any new business?
Well, I think you brought it up. It would be really nice to have some clarity and some actual requirements that spell out the internship program a little bit more clearly than it does in statute. I think that what I'm suggesting is maybe a work group of us to put that together so that there's no misunderstanding what the requirements are.
Okay. Any specific requirements you're talking about, Steve?
Well, I think, we've discussed inspection reports. We've discussed what the level of internship, what an internship should be, whether there's a degree of, I'm just shooting ideas out there, whether there's a certain requirement of classroom training or any number of different things. I don't think it's clear enough what the supervisor's responsibility is other than taking financial responsibility. And it would be really nice to be able to hand out something to people and say, this is what an intern supervisor needs to do. This is what the intern needs to do. And upon completion of this, it gets signed off with an affidavit saying that they've completed that stuff, and then we wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I think the biggest area of, concern is with the supervision aspect. I think it's clear what the intern has to do in terms of his pre-licensing and application and so on. But I think we could certainly have some discussions on the supervisor's role. So I would agree, maybe some type of a session about that. And maybe we can table that for now until we can organize, just what the procedures are for having some kind of a session, or do it at
Well,
the
Larry-
next meeting or something,
Larry, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Because I'm new to the board.
Yeah.
Can the board have a work session and actually develop something like that and then put it forward without it being a board meeting, but a meeting of us to put something together and then present it as a board?
Yeah, I'm not positive about that. I'd like to run it through legal, because there is, some requirements in terms of, the public being invited to sessions and meetings, et cetera, and just how we can have some type of an executive session or something like that. So I think that would be a question that we can, at least get the procedures from legal on how to best do that. That'd be my recommendation anyways, as a start.
I did speak to John, and he told me he was at a conference, and he did say that by us clarifying that the intern has to perform 100 inspections, 10 that are direct and 90 that are indirect, just to clarify that they needed to produce a report for each one. He had felt that maybe as our board, at the very least, we should be sending that out to every licensed home inspector, so that if anybody is considering supervising, that at least they're aware that that is a requirement. So again, we could table this until John comes back, and we could also investigate the possibility of a work session through legal to see what we can do and what we can't do.
Yeah.
But I think that there are areas of that need to be discussed, because in reading through the actual wording of the statute, there's several ways of interpreting what the requirements are. So I would like it to be defined. That's all.
Yeah.
Right, but presently, as we had passed last minute at the last meeting, is that we tried to define that the intern has to do 100 inspections, and they need to produce a report. That's, so we voted on that at the meeting last time, and we just approved it.
Well,
So
I think
that
what we-
certainly is in our meeting
Yeah.
minutes.
I
I
think
think
that we
last,
approved that.
at our last meeting, what we had approved was what the 100 inspections need to be. They're not partial inspections whereby someone is using the definition of a home inspection of being 2 or more components, and then going out and inspecting 2 components and then entering that as one of your 100 inspections for your training. And so that's what that discussion was about. And we voted and approved that the 100 inspections have to be complete inspections. And that's defined in the regs under number 28, that they're all aspects of a home inspection, not just a plumbing and an electrical system, and then that qualifies as one of the 100. So that's what we cleared up at our last meeting. So,
Right, the way it states in the minutes is that states that the supervisor is responsible for training and covering all regulations, inspection training. Part of the 100 inspections requiring for license must be a full inspection and be logged in the report. Now, if you go into the regulations, it pretty much states that the supervisor needs to keep a log and the intern needs to keep a log. And they, and then it goes much further to say that if the intern asks for the report from the supervisor, he needs to be able to produce that, and both of them should be keeping all the inspections. So that's what we had last time. So again, I think that if we'd like to have a work session, we need to talk to legal, and we could certainly talk about all these aspects. And then if we, in the meantime, want to clarify our regulations to all our members or licensed people, maybe we're going to issue a statement, but we need to talk to John, who's talking to legal.
well,
I would just urge you gentlemen to realize that very few people are coming into our industry right now because of the requirements that we're setting. I have one student coming through an internship right now, and I have one student in my school. And all I hear is the requirements are so tough and take so long to complete that no one's coming in. And I think that we have to be very careful with this. I want them to be well trained, but I don't want to make requirements that make them not want to come into the industry, because we're all going to retire.
yeah.
And there's going to be no one coming in because we've made it so difficult.
I'm not sure that we've made it so difficult. That I just, from what I've read or heard, it said it's difficult to find a supervisor.
Well, you're
why is
telling
that?
somebody that I don't know, because I've always been willing to do it. But
Right.
the bottom line is, if we're requiring 100 written inspections, full 100 written inspections, I think that you are closing the door to this industry. I need to say that.
Yeah, but Steve, my feeling is the fact that I don't know how you work your interns, but when I did mine, I had to pay. All right. And I paid for the education, not just to learn how to inspect, but how to report. So you're educating that inspector how to report to keep himself out of liability.
Of course.
So to do that, he needs the 100 inspections. You can't expect him to know how to do a written report as well as you do with giving him 15 or 20 inspection reports. It says, and so I definitely disagree with you. If anything, It's because the fact there's no inspections out there for him to intern because the business is so slow, and the cost of having to do the internship. $15,000 to $20,000 and losing your income while doing these inspections because you need, I mean, most people need a source of income that keeps them from getting into the industry. So many of people I've talked to, when I tell them what has to be done, they're like, oh, wow, I can't afford that. I can't afford to give my day job to run out and do 100 inspections.
That's what I hear all the time.
Yeah, but to put somebody out there with anything less than that,
That's
especially
it.
if they have
That's-
no,
I'm not saying that we should put them out with less. What I'm saying is it should be clearly defined what their requirements are in their first and in their first couple of inspections. To expect them to be writing a full report is foolishness. To expect them after 40 hours of class, 10 days of class, and I do 100 hours worth of class, to expect them to write full reports right away, I don't think that's realistic. But I think that we need to define clearly what their requirements are as intern supervisors and make it on a piece of paper that is not the state statute, but something that the board puts forward so it's clear and understandable. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, I think
May
we're
I-
all, I think we're all in agreement, and I think that the little bit of confusion here is that we have not changed the regulations at all. All we've tried to do is define it, because I know that, when our company had a, I was a supervisor, I always assumed that you had to do the 100 inspections. So that's the way we've been doing it for many years. And I just didn't realize that the regulations have been interpreted any different way. So I'm not, I don't want to be part of making any more regulations or making harder regulations. I want to be part of being very clear also in what's required and how you go through the process of becoming a home inspector. So I think we're on the same page as that. And again, I think there has been a misunderstanding of the interpretation of what we have for regulations. And by clarifying it, if it makes it more complicated or harder for somebody to become a home inspector, then that's a whole nother issue that we'll have to revisit to say, okay, it's too hard for people to become home inspectors. What do we need to do now? So again, I think it's a good idea to have a work session, but we need to go through the right channels in order to do that.
That's fine.
All right.
And I think
Bruce.
also, and I just want to put this forward, there were discussions made with Mr. Kuzmich and Mr. Hurlbut that are no longer in that office, that in regard to the internships, in regard to education, there were agreements about classes and training that have not been written down anywhere, but they were understood. And, all of that history doesn't seem to exist anymore. We have a whole new group of people in there, and it's different. It's different when you even call in and ask for something.
Could I ask for clarification on something?
Sure.
Sure.
Bruce, I think you're right. It sounds like there's consensus among everybody here that clarity is important. The requirements for a successful internship need to be spelled out in a way that is understandable. But I wonder if there still might be a little bit of a disagreement that, Steve, it sounds like Steve's saying, if we're not careful and the rigors are too much and they discourage people from entering the field, that would be a problem. On the one hand, it's probably not a good idea to dumb things down in the interest of making sure people feel comfortable to enter the industry. But the other side of that could easily be that if the requirements are too burdensome, you create an environment in which people don't feel comfortable entering the field, and then the consumers suffer because there's not a lot of inspectors out there. You could even have the potential of slowing down, the purchases and closings of homes. I wonder, am I understanding your point correctly there, Steve?
Well, I think that there could be more involved in this. There could be a letter from the supervisor recommending that that person go forward or recommending that they do more inspections. There's nothing in the regulations that says to do that. But I think that I've had situations with interns that I didn't feel that they were ready to go forward. But if they've done their 100 inspections, in theory, I'm just supposed to sign off on it. So
I
I
think-
want good inspectors. I want inspectors that reflect on my education and my training of them, that when they go out there, that they're going to be successful and they're going to make us all proud. That's what I want. So I want clarification on it. That's all.
Well,
I think we beat it to death.
No, I agree. I mean, look, I have not been in the business of training inspectors and taking fees for my supervisor position. So I'm really coming from a whole different point than I think Steve is. So I think that it's interesting to hear him say that, you know, he actually, he was doing this with interns, and there could be a situation that they do their 100 inspections and they're not qualified to be a home inspector yet. What what do we have in our regulations that for the supervisor to not say that he's qualified or qualified at that point? So I think that that's probably something that should be discussed. And if somebody's training someone, they do 100 inspections, and they paid you a fee, but they want to go get their license and they're not working for you, they could come and get their license if they pass the course, pass the test, and do 100 inspections. So I don't know,
I
maybe,
think,
but but that's not really speaking, I think, to whether it's whether the process that we created is is uh is educating people well enough to become a home inspector. Because I don't know, the time I've been here, I haven't seen a matter like that come in front of us to say a licensed home inspector didn't qualify to be an inspector, but did the proper procedure. So I don't know.
I think,
Um,
I'd like to just say that, during the last revision, where the warning equipment came into the regs, we made a number of changes to the intern program. And those are now part of the regs. And I think that helped, because I think the biggest concern or question mark is the supervisor's part or the supervision part, this 100 inspections. I think the 40 hours and so on is there. I think it's clear that guys have to do that. But I think every supervisor perhaps does something different from the next supervisor. And I think that that's what needs to be cleaned up. And I think one of the things that might have helped with that was a revision that we made that had to do with the direct supervision. It once said that of the 100, 10 had to be directly supervised, where the supervisor, not someone he appoints, but the supervisor, was to be on the site 100% of the time. And we cleaned that up a bit to say that those 10 inspections need to be the first 10. And I think that helps for a supervisor to say, well, I've been here 10 times and I don't think this guy's ready and we need to do something else. Or he is ready and I'm going to continue doing direct supervision or whatever your policy might be. But I think we did make some improvement in that last revision, with the 10 direct being now the first 10. But nonetheless, I still agree that we should, connect together and see if we can sort this out a little better, where there's more, not that I like the word regulation, but there's just more regulation of what a supervisor is to do, and so on. and we
Right,
can
so
review it.
it's a matter, I agree, it's a clarity thing, and we want to
Right.
be clear and precise, and we
Well-
want anybody who's going to be a supervisor to understand exactly what's involved. So, all right,
Right.
so again, we're going to,
Well,
go
it-
through the channels to see what we're able to do,
All
and
right.
then next meeting, let's talk about it to see if we can have a work session.
Great.
Or
Thank you.
even before,
Or even before.
whatever.
Okay,
Right.
let's see here.
Can I make a quick point before we move on here? And I don't want to belabor it, but, you know, I think it's not necessarily a bad thing to look at this and consider making changes and updates to it, you know, as time goes on. I think 20 years ago, when you had people coming into this industry, they were probably more from the trades and from that sort of background. And I think now you are probably seeing a lot more people that don't have that kind of experience. And it may warrant that the training and the supervision and what we're doing with it is a little bit more clear and delineated as to what we need to do to make sure that those people are getting the training and experience that they need to go off and do this on their own. I just wanted to make that point. That's all. Thank you.
It's been my
Seems like a good
experience in the
point.
school that they're coming in with very little experience. They're not typically from the trades.
It's a great career, and I think that's what people recognize, but we need to make sure that we're handling them the right way when we're training them. And if it is someone who is never in the trades, maybe that needs to be, you know, it's not a specific way to train them, but we need to be open up and address that and maybe adjust what we're doing to facilitate that better.
Might have to change the word to minimum of 100 inspections. I don't know.
Thank you.
Well, why don't we have a discussion? Let's see what we have to do that. And then
All right, so anything else on old business that we have?
It's new business, yeah.
New business.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's go new business.
Yeah,
It was.
that was. Yeah, that's what we discussed.
Okay, so anything else, new business, any other new business items?
No,
Okay, correspondence,
No.
comments or concern of any person present?
I want to just make a comment on the CE approval process, and if it's something we can add to the agenda for the next meeting, that would be great. I think if we could review what the process is for CE approval, not just for any new members that are here, but also just to understand better how that process works when stuff is put in, where does it go, who does it go to, and then also if it's possible moving forward, if we can get a list either quarterly or monthly, however we can do it, of any classes that were approved by the board that are now put up on the list on the website. Because I don't know what's been approved since the last time we met. And
I think that should be available. Rochelle would have a list of all the courses that have been approved.
Can we get that sent out on either a monthly or quarterly or however we can do it? Can we get that sent out to each of the members so that we can see what's being approved?
Mm-hmm. I would think so. We could ask, Rochelle. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I know they show up in the portal about 24 hours after approval, and it should have the approval date, so that's a good way for it to be available. But I can see if we can run a specific report for, each quarter or something too. So I'll check with Jason too to see if that's an option. But I know they are listed in the approval portal pretty quickly after they're approved. I think it takes about 24 hours for it to update. So they are available that way too, but I'll see what we can do.
Yeah, I just think for board members, if there's a way that we don't have to go to the portal and try to go through the whole list to see what was recently approved, I think that would be, helpful if it can be done.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay, any other comments or concerns from board members?
Nope. I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Okay, thanks a lot if everybody for attending. And now we have a hearing at 10:30. And is everybody going to be at that?
That same Zoom or,
They sent out a different Zoom.